The leader's role in creating culture. Tony Robbins. From the first moment you step into your role as leader, whether you've founded the company or been called in to guide it, your actions, tone, and beliefs begin to shape the living, breathing entity that is your culture. Imagine walking into your office on a Monday morning. The light is soft, the air carries the quiet hum of possibility. You pause at the door and ask yourself, what do I want people to feel when they come here? What spirit do I want to infuse into every conversation, every decision, every interaction? From that moment forward, you make culture your highest priority. Because in today's world where capital can be raised, products can be built, and strategies can be copied, culture is the true competitive advantage. It's the invisible web that binds your team together, empowers problem solvers, and ignites collective creativity. You begin by defining your core values, no more than 3 or 4 words that capture the essence of your mission. Perhaps they are integrity, curiosity, and service, or maybe they are grit, collaboration, and joy. You write them on a whiteboard in your conference room so every visitor sees them. You send a simple note to your team. These are the principles we live by. Let's put them into practice today. But values alone are meaningless without stories. So you tell stories, true stories, about moments when someone on the team embodied a value. You share over video chat how Jenna, the junior engineer, stayed late to craft a fix that saved a customer's data. You praise her integrity and ownership. You highlight how Marcus, the customer success lead, took the time to learn Spanish so he could better serve a growing Latin American market, illustrating curiosity and service. By telling these tales, you breathe life into abstract concepts. Next, you build rituals that reinforce the culture. Every week on Wednesday at 9 a.m., you call a 15-minute culture huddle. You invite anyone to share a small win, a lesson learned, or a moment when they saw culture in action. Phones are off, cameras are on. Laughter and applause fill the screen. In those moments, people see that culture belongs to them too, that they are authors of the story you're writing together. You also weave culture into hiring. From your very first interviews, you assess not only skill but alignment. You ask prospective team members to describe a time they faced a setback and how they responded. You gauge their resilience, their willingness to collaborate, their sense of ownership. At every step, phone screen, in-person chat, peer interview, you ask, does this person lift us up? Do they stretch us toward our highest aspirations? When someone joins, you launch them into your culture immediately. No reading dusty manuals. Instead, you pair them with a culture buddy, someone who lives the values. The buddy greets them on the first day with coffee, or chamomile, no judgment, shows them the rituals, introduces them to people not by role but by passion. This is Annika. She's obsessed with user experience. She once built a prototype in a single afternoon because she cared that deeply. New hires feel the pulse of purpose on day one. As leader, you model vulnerability. You share your own story of risk and failure. You describe the time you pitched to investors and froze, heart-pounding, only to stumble over your words, and then learn that authenticity wins every time. You invite the team into your growth journey. You hold a monthly Ask Me Anything session where you disclose challenges you face, whether hiring struggles or product hiccups. You show that asking for help is strength, not weakness. You invest in development. Culture thrives when people grow. So you set aside a monthly stipend for every team member to spend on learning. A book, a course, a conference, even a mentor session. You encourage knowledge-sharing lunches where someone distills a key insight they've discovered. You create a rotating innovation day every quarter, a 24-hour sprint where cross-functional teams prototype wild ideas. Some ideas fail. That's the point. You celebrate intelligent failure as a sign of courage. Feedback becomes the air you breathe. Twice a year you conduct formal reviews, but every conversation is framed in a culture of continuous feedback. You teach people to use the SBI model, situation, behavior, impact. It keeps feedback crisp and actionable. You personally invest in coaching rising leaders, teaching them to listen first and speak second. Conflict becomes an opportunity to strengthen bonds rather than a source of fear. You also make recognition visible. A simple digital culture wall displays real-time kudos, short notes of appreciation that anyone can post. Team members light up when they see their name in neon colors, celebrating grit or ingenuity. Quarterly, at your all-hands gathering, you pull 3 names at random from the culture wall and invite recipients to share what motivated them and how they keep the culture alive. Over time, your culture shows up in every aspect of the business. Your customer support calls are empathetic because people know service is a core value. Your product updates are thoughtful because your engineers obsess over quality. Your marketing campaigns are authentic because your storytellers live the brand they promote. You become a magnet for talent. People hear about your culture on LinkedIn or in industry chats, and they ask if you're hiring. So, of course, culture ebbs and flows with growth. When you scale from 10 people to 50, you appoint culture champions, a small team of individuals chosen for their passion and influence to help perpetuate rituals and mentor new hires. You revisit your core values every year, ensuring they still reflect your highest aspirations. You remain flexible enough to add a new value, perhaps adaptability, if the market demands it. You guard culture fiercely during pressure. When revenue targets loom or deadlines thunder, you refuse to sacrifice values for speed. You remind your team that deadlines serve vision, not the other way around. You model calm under stress, showing that integrity and collaboration prevail even when time is short. As investors watch your growth, they comment not only on financial metrics, but on Net Promoter Score and employee satisfaction ratings. They ask how you maintain low attrition and high engagement. You share your playbook, clarity of values, rituals of recognition, commitment to growth and feedback woven into every conversation. Investors nod. They see that culture is a leading indicator of sustainable success. In moments of crisis, supply chain disruptions, market shifts, even a global event that rattles everyone, you fall back on culture as your North Star. You communicate early and transparently. You share what you know, what you don't know, and what you're doing next. You invite ideas from every corner of your organization. You demonstrate that culture is resilience embodied. By year's end, you hold a culture retreat off-site. You gather your team beneath tall pines beside a lake. You facilitate small group sessions where people share stories of their proudest moments and their deepest learnings. You create new rituals, a culture tree where everyone ties a written aspiration to a branch, symbolizing shared growth. You close with a simple vow. Together we choose this path of purpose and unity. When you return to the office, you see the impact. Productivity gains, customer loyalty, innovation sparked by cross-disciplinary collaboration. But more than metrics, you witness transformed individuals, people who arrive each day feeling valued, invested, and inspired. Investors see a company that doesn't just chase profit, but builds a legacy. As a leader, you come to realize that culture is not an accessory. It is the heartbeat of your enterprise. It's the force that propels you through adversity and carries you toward audacious goals. It's the spirit that turns colleagues into a community and work into a shared adventure. And so every morning when you step into your office, you pause at the door once more. You breathe in the energy of a culture you've co-created. You ask yourself, how can I, in this moment, live our values more fully? How can I invite others to do the same? Because you know that culture is not built in a day but nurtured moment by moment, story by story, ritual by ritual, and that as its guardian, you hold the key to unlocking extraordinary potential. The leader's role in creating culture is the greatest act of service you can perform. When you embrace that responsibility, you don't just build a company, you build a community, a movement, a force for good. And in doing so, you change not only the trajectory of your business, but the lives of every person who touches it. What you create today becomes the legacy you leave tomorrow. Let your leadership be defined by the culture you cultivate, and watch as your vision unfolds in ways more powerful than you ever imagined.